It's your boy Superman 2000 coming from the fight chair. It's the overseas fight chair. Chilling out now. Had a wonderful day today. Did some swimming in the ocean. Ate lobster, jerk chicken. I will just partied hard last night. Partied hard today. Had a good, wholesome, clean time. Nothing too crazy. None of that. None of that. Didn't touch the stuff. All right. Besides, it has no effect on me. I just don't know why it doesn't have any effect on me. Nonetheless, all right, here we go. Once again, we see Dana White lack of integrity manifesting itself. Now here it is that he did. There's a sparring match between Conor McGregor, Paul Magellani, right? Hopefully I pronounced that right. And they, Showtime came out and said, "Hey, Dana White said that he gave us tons of footage, but he didn't give us the entire footage for the sparring match between Conor McGregor and Paul Magellani." And Dana White is saying, no, we give him tons of footage, just release the footage. Well, here's the problem. It's the same reason why Dana White and Ira Lawani fell out. Journalistic integrity. All Showtime is saying is, hey, give us the full footage, all 30 minutes, so we can release it all to give a balanced perspective on what really happened. That minute or 30 seconds that you gave us, that does not explain in detail, you know, what happened. Because Paul Magellani is saying something else transpired in terms of the sparring match, and you're saying something else, and you're only releasing footage that backs up your side of the story. See? So then I wanted them to run with his narrative on the story. No integrity. See the sliminess to this guy. He just keeps. I don't know him personally. I'm just saying he's slimy from an outside perspective, based on his behavior and based on what I read and seen in the public, and not just my honest. Even me giving you that disclaimer shows you that at least just being a YouTube journalist, I still operate with some level of integrity. Now, here's the sweet catch: the UFC now has two licenses. They've been approved by the commission, a separate license for boxing and a separate license for mixed martial arts. That way, they could stall or bypass the Muhammad Ali Act in place, because they could tell the individual, you're providing a different service based on the MMA contract, and you're providing a different service based on the boxing contract. Now, here's the deal: Conor McGregor could have gone directly to Mayweather and negotiated with him without the UFC. But the UFC used their contract with Conor as leverage to say, hey, if you, because boxing is regulated by a body and it has more freedom, and the boxers have more ability to negotiate for themselves, that's fine. You could, if you want, but we're gonna bury you in so much paperwork and legal mumbo jumbo. By the time you get to fight Mayweather, you'll be like 50. So here's what you do: let us make this happen and get us in on this money. But it's gonna come back and bite Dana in the butt, because Conor McGregor is the type of man that at some point he's gonna say, okay, I'm playing ball to get along, but this is where it's gonna cost you more. So he'll make up the difference. I believe he will. He's a business savvy guy. So journalistic integrity, problem right one. Problem two, separate license to prevent the boxers and MMA combatants from getting a fair deal. And then problem number three is limited sponsorship in the UFC. And Dana White has signed the Reebok deal, and the sponsorship has been limited. And once that's done, it hurts the fighters. Though if you're selling content, and that content is fighters, you're cannibalizing your own product line, because hey, the Reebok deal, the three or four tiered system, is not significant enough to provide funding for these athletes to pay for their training, pay for their travel, cover the cost of certain incidental and that type of stuff. If one female a fighter recently who launched a GoFundMe account so she could get sponsored to go to her event. You see what I'm saying? So the Reebok money is not enough. The Reebok money, it may benefit the UFC, but not the fighters. So all the young guys as up and coming talent who would otherwise fight in the UFC, they go into Bellator because the sponsorship potential is it's unlimited there. You get more bang for your buck there, and Bellator is willing to pay top dollar. You understand? And in addition to that, Bellator is they're just looking for content to distribute. So that is the beauty of Bellator. The Scott Croker know what he's doing, whereas Dana White he continues to show how out of his league he is. Now, the UFC has this new license that they just acquire to be a co-promoter of boxing events and that type of stuff. And the first thing he does is pisses off. Pardon my language. I don't mean to use that type of, but uh, I'll refer to that. The first thing he does is upset Showtime, which is one of the largest, biggest promoters of boxing and sports events, and they have a massive pipeline that they can use. The first thing you do is upset them and say, "Oh, they're trying to protect their guy." I don't think you understand that uh, in the boxing world, those start, because you've been at a manager level at mixed martial arts, and you've controlled and manipulated everything, and you've not had to use integrity. But in the boxing world, you're just like a tuna and there's great white sharks there. As a matter of fact, you're a minnow. There's great white sharks there. Okay? And you're gonna go over there and try and talk and walk the walk when you don't even know what you're doing. And then to prove that they know what lack of inexperience and poor leadership of the UFC, here's something additional. In the beginning, he offered 25 million to Mayweather. I mean, like, how he has no concept of how things are supposed to be done, how you treat people, how you market yourself, how you manage and you operate with integrity. Under his watch, the UFC has significantly declined. I mean, it's gone up. I will not say it hasn't gone up from what it was before when he bought it with the Furter brothers, and they pump a lot of money into advertising, pump a lot of money into building it up, and then it was sold based on the intrinsic value of the media content and that type of stuff, not based on generated revenues. You understand? It's kind of like if I have a client that's buying an apartment building, he's not buying the apartment building itself. He's buying the lease revenues and the long-term income from that asset. Well, whoever these people are that bought the UFC, they evaluated it and came up with the 4 billion figure, despite the fact that I won't go into the whole mumbo jumbo and bog you down, but I don't think it was worth the 4 billion something. I think it was a nice little hustler pull, and they got some sweet change. But know that the organization has gotten much larger. Now you're going to see the weaknesses in Dana White. Now all of a sudden, thing is on the decline. Boop 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 boop. Pay per view buys down. Boop 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 boop. I mean, he's doing all types of things to bring in new fans, but the new fans they don't understand the sport. They don't respect the fighters, and they only buy pay per view when a certain hot popping items are their guy. They're not consistently consuming the product. They don't go to UFC.com and read stats. They don't, they don't follow it like say a football fan would or like say a boxing fan would. You have to develop and educate your fan base. He has no idea of that. Absolutely zero idea of how that works. None. So when these new fans come in and they're booing in the arenas because the fighters aren't running headlong into each other, they don't understand how technical martial arts is. I mean, it's just people who have to, hey, I'm gonna get some booze and some tickets and watch some guys fight based on the highlight reels I've seen. It doesn't work like that. So that's my problem with Dana White. The UFC, they need new leadership. They need somebody who's experienced in promoting martial arts and combat sports. Even the footprint that they're trying to establish in China now, They're gonna have a difficult time with that Asian market because Bellator is already killing them over there. And they just got chased out of Mexico. They just closed their offices down in Mexico and run back to the States. They just cut the number of fighters on their roster from like 500 something down to 120 something, and they have more cuts coming. So clearly, that's a signal of something isn't right here. He's not managing from a perspective of how to create new pipelines, how to get into new markets. He's managing from a perspective of, hey, I have to control everything. Everything has to come through me. And I don't think he has the capability or the foresight to take the organization to the next level. The first guy that sold it to them, the lawyer, he was honest enough with himself to say, hey, I've taken it as far as it can go based on my capabilities. I'm a trained attorney and businessman. Let me let this go for 2 million. That's Dana White. No, he is not taking an honest evaluation of his skills and his capability as a manager and a businessman and somebody who knows how to negotiate. He doesn't have that. No, you might be able to do that with these young guys who are fighters who just coming in the industry. She has screwed them over one time, but once they get hit to the game and they realize how things work, they move on. You see, and it's the same thing. Randy Couture got hit to the game.